Wow. So, how many of you grew up like me as an only kid? Anybody? All right, cool. So now we know what the rest of you say about us. We're nothing but spoiled and entitled, right? But my mom and dad went out of their way to teach this little kid about gratitude. And for this moment today, I am truly, truly grateful. I'm here to talk a little bit about change, okay? So no matter what you might believe as to how this all began, we're pretty sure it's always changing, right? Universe always expanding, Mother Earth always turning, right? Evolving. I mean, God, we watch our kids grow up right before our eyes, right? I mean, she's driving, freshman in high school. That little guy born with a congenital heart defect is going to be 11, right? I hate to break the news to you, but our bodies change every day. You guys, would you like proof? All right, there you go. 24, full-time musician. I'm going to be 50 next month. That hair, changing. Trust me. So, if we can all agree that change is in the fabric of our very existence, right? So why is it so difficult for us to change when we want to improve, right? As humans, would you like to know? If you've got a bracelet on like me or a watch, take it off and put it on this wrist. Let me know how that feels, all right? So the metaphor I'm going to share today, I honestly can't tell you the first time I came up with this, but I know I was delivering sales education on the topic of asking for referrals, all right? So Dale Carnegie stated that I think 91% of customers would refer their sales professional, but only about 11% of salespeople ask for referrals. Why? We're afraid. So what do? We do something much more common, much more comfortable, right? We take out the business card and we go, here's my card. It's a magic rectangle. If you know of someone who could use my help, would you mind passing it on for me? And we kind of slowly run in the other direction, hoping we get a call back someday. And one day I just went, it's like that movie, Mr. Mom from 1980. It's a great flick, right? Dad loses his job making cars. He becomes Mr. Mom. Remember, 1980, okay? And his wife becomes the marketing exec. His little boy, Kenny, can't go anywhere without his whoopee. You know that security blanket or stuffed animal you had when you were a kid? And he has to sit him down because he's got to give it up. And the conversation, it goes something like this. He sits him down. He goes, hey, Ken, you and I have to have a man-to-man talk about your whoopee. Whoopies looking bad, buddy. Now listen, I know you little guys, you start out with your whoopies and all, and they're great, they are, but pretty soon, whoopie's not enough. You know, you're out on the streets, you're trying to score an electric blanket, maybe even a quilt. Sooner or later, you're strung out on bedspreads, Ken. That's serious. It's an awesome exchange. And it occurred to me, like, that's that business card handoff. It's like the whoopee. And then I applied it to different concepts in business and eventually to life in general. I do have a special guest here with me. This is my whoopee. This is Toby. He's about to turn 50 as well, just like me. And but that's what he represents. Those things we know we need to change to improve, but we choose to avoid it instead. Why? Because it's comfortable. Just like this guy. I do need a babysitter can you take care of him just for thank you. I appreciate it. Don't get attached. Okay. So that's my 2020 vision. It's also the title of my book, What's Your Whoopee? I want to share some simple strategies on your uncomfortable path to new opportunities. But first, I have to tell you a quick story about one of my whoopies. So I did eventually cut that hair, and I got hired by this company, Champion Mortgage, in 1997, as a sales professional, as a mortgage guy. I still have the bag from training, right? It was an amazing company, all about people, and I excelled in their model. Right? In just 15 months, they promoted me to branch manager. A little quick? Possibly. They eventually brought us all together into these big call centers selling over the phone. And I was out on the floor one night trying to motivate, do my thing. But there's a couple of senior people like dogging it, like just not trying, complaining. I probably should have grabbed them one-on-one, right? Had a chat. No, I avoided that. Grabbed the three of them in the conference room, chat time. I avoided that too. I decided to do the same thing. I'm just gonna complain to the other managers in the room about these three people. So I went back to the desk, I drafted the email, I used what SpongeBob and Patrick Star would call sentence enhancers about these three people. Send. Problem solved, right? God, do I feel better. But the problem was, when I sent the email, I didn't send it to Group Sales Center 5 managers. I sent it to Group Sales Center 5, everyone in the room. Awesome. So in that moment of embarrassment, yeah, I was aware that I had problems with conflict, right? I knew I was avoiding how to be better at accountability. I never accepted the fact that I wasn't good at it. I never put anything into action to improve. I want you to think of this as I go through these 4 words. They all begin with the letter A, 4 A's, okay? And the goal is to give up that whoopee, okay? Here we go. Let's start with awareness. So what is this about? It's about discovering why you say the things you say. Why do you do the things you do as it relates to other people out there, all right? It's important because you've got to find your stretch zone. Let me explain. So if I were to hug myself, I know this is odd, but this is my comfort zone. Not much happens here. No change, no learning something new. Take it out to about here. Now past this area, that's the red zone. That's pure terror. Something stretched way too far. Nothing good happens there either. But in here, this is that stretch zone where you can learn something new and change. The best mechanism I've ever seen for awareness is the DISC assessment. It was created back in 1940, a guy by the name of Walter Clark. And my mentor, Karen, taught me so much about it. It's an assessment based on 4 personality traits: D for dominance, I for influence, S for steadiness, C for compliance. And each one of us leads with one of these styles. But the key is to be able to connect your style to that stretch zone. So for example, if you're an analytical profile, task-oriented, somewhat introverted, you don't like the stretch zone. Will you go there? You might, but for you, it's all about why. Is it logical for me to go there? Now, let's say you're that amiable listener profile. You don't like the stretch zone either, guys. Will you go there? You might, to learn something new and change, but for you, it's all about how. I need the steps. How about the driver personalities? Any of those? You blast right through the stretch zone, right to the red zone. You have to learn patience for the people in the comfort zone even, right? But you still need to learn and change too. For you, it's all about what, okay? What's in it for me at the end of this rainbow? Lastly, that influencer, expressive personality style. We like the stretch zone. We love it there. I have a condo there, actually. But for us, we need to learn to change too. For us, it's all about who. People driven, okay? Because once you become more self-aware, that whoopee, if you don't already know what it is, starts to take shape. But there's one more important word right behind this one. Acceptance. Another one of those A words. What's this about? Well, eventually we have to accept our own reality, embrace it even, right? We all have the good, the bad, maybe even the ugly about ourselves. And people will ask me, so where do I start? Ready? Say this. I completely and fully accept everything about myself. Does anything bubble up? Good place to start right there, right? So it's about understanding the difference between conscious and subconscious thought, okay? Conscious part of our brain we think is in the driver's seat. That's those daily affirmations about ourselves. But what could be happening is subconsciously, we're completely being sabotaged, right? It's that part of our brain that just tells your heart to beat. You don't have to think about it, right? Best example is my putting game. I've been golfing since the age of 3. Any golfers? I'm a pretty good player. But anyone who's played golf with me, I know there's a couple here, I see you, you know I haven't been able to putt for like the last 10 years. I miss putts this big. Conscious mind, right? I'm the best putter. I'm gonna teach Tiger Woods how to putt. Subconscious part of my brain's going, no you're not. You've been awful for a long time. You will miss. And it literally radiates like into your shoulders, down your arms, into physical movement of the putter and a miss. I had to do something different. I can't keep buying putters, guys, right? So I did. 30 years of this putting grip, I changed it to this. It's called the claw technique. You want to talk about uncomfortable and ridiculous? And I said, I'm going to do it for the entire 2019 season, no matter what happens. I don't care. What happened? Am I the best putter on the face of the earth? Of course not. Did I get better? Absolutely did. Because for the first time in years, subconscious brain's going, yeah, you might be able to make that. It's important when it comes down to acceptance. So what are some of the mechanisms for acceptance? Things like guided meditation, okay? There are things like relaxation breathing, the power of oxygen. A phone on your app by the name of Calm, it's awesome for that. Have you ever heard of EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique? It's tapping on acupuncture points on your body. Looks and feels ridiculous until I researched what it's done for our brave women and men, the US military with PTSD. And then I started to use it. Lastly, performance coaching. It's powerful because the right coach will not only understand and learn your behavioral style, they'll match you up with the right techniques. Because guys, until we finally accept those spun off parts of ourselves we've been avoiding for so long, right? What we resist persists. It's very, very difficult to take action. The first step, okay? I always think of my buddy Dina when it comes to action. I met Dina in 2013. She's a mortgage professional I was coaching. Now, she was aware of the fact that she hated asking for referrals. She didn't like to be asked, right? And she eventually accepted the fact that if she didn't get better at it, she's not gonna grow her business. We would role play this as a team, our asks, and our company president, Dave, would even say, hey guys, you're commission-based. You know, if you want a bigger W-2 at the end of the year, you need to get better at this. So Dee said, I'm doing this tonight. I have an appointment. I'm doing it. My phone rings at like 11 o'clock at night. You know that who's going to the hospital phone call ring? I'm like, oh my God, Dina, you okay, kid? She's like, I am mortified. I need to talk to you. And I'm like, okay, what's up? She goes, well, I asked for referrals. I'm like, nice, implementation. What happened? She goes, well, I thought of that W-2 thing so I grabbed the customer's W-2 at the kitchen table and I held it up and I went, you see these? I don't get a very big number on my W-2 unless my customers refer me. And I'm like, ooh, that's a little aggressive. I'm like, what did they say? She goes, nothing at all. I'm like, well, what did you do? She's like, their dog was sitting next to me. I just decided to just pet their dog for the rest of the appointment, right? So this is all about goals, but it's about meaningful goal setting. There's a reason why New Year's resolutions tend to fail. There's no thought process behind it. There's no meaning behind it whatsoever. So when I set goals with people, I like to do it in 1 page, 3 sections. Section 1, what do you want and why do you want it? Yeah, that's the numbers. We got to figure out what you need to do every day to get there. But that's the people, the places, the things that matter most to you. How do you want to feel when you land there? I need to know that. Section 2, where's it going to come from, by the way? You know how many times I've sat with someone and they say, I want to do 60 transactions this year. And I go, that's awesome. And I start going through their network and where their business is generated. And I go, well, that's 40. Where's the other 20 coming from? We got to figure that out. And last would be the keys to success. And that is the things you, in fact, do very, very well that you are comfortable with. Keep doing it, maybe more of it. But that whoopee she's holding, that's where he lives. That thing you've been avoiding for quite some time that you need to change. Because once we take the first step, we got to keep taking them. Accountability. This is that word that people in business love to drop all the time, but very few people really know how to do it. Right? I was chatting with another mentor, Dave, about this, and I said, so why do you think that individuals struggle with accountability? He's like, well, if people don't set goals because that's attached to measurement, right, and timelines, people avoid accountability because that's attached to potential failure and consequences. It's easier to avoid it. How about managers? Why do they struggle? He goes, they're just afraid of having the difficult conversation with someone. You know, they're afraid to be direct and they don't want that negative, connotation about themselves, so they just avoid it. Remember me? That was me, right? So I'm like, so what do we do? I'll give you 2 things as far as accountability. Number 1, if you know what you want, why you want it, and you believe you can actually pull this off, that why needs to be everywhere. On your phone, on your laptop, on the fridge, in your car, I don't care. Because that's what drives you. Why? Because the reality is you are gonna have adversity. You are going to fail from time to time, but you can't continue to be the victim. Eventually, failure has to become your ally, if that makes sense. Second, get an accountability partner. It could be a manager, it could be a coach, it could be a best friend. My best friend, Matt, decided that's it, losing weight in 2019. Now, Matty is not turning vegan anytime soon, guys, let me tell you. So what did he do? He got a calorie counting app on his phone. It was easy to use, and he recommitted to the gym. But before working out, he would go into the sauna. So he would text me and my other best friend, Jim, sauna. A couple days in a row, sauna. A couple weeks in a row, sauna. No photos from the sauna. No one needs that. Sauna. Months in a row, sauna. Down 60 pounds end of 2019. We were his accountability partners, right? Because that's what we're trying to get. We're trying to get to habits. And if you didn't notice, you saw the pie symbol behind every slide. What is pie? Well, it's delicious, of course. It's 3.14. It's a mathematical constant, right? It's about habits. And I did the research. I experienced it with my own coaching. The 21 days is a myth, guys. It's really 60 to 90 days. But look, if you can get there, that whoopee no longer represents something so daunting, so uncomfortable. Oh yeah, you do have to give that back. You gotta give it back now. Gotta give them up. But look, you got rewarded. You're welcome, thank you. Now this little guy represents victory. Why? You found a way to embrace uncomfortable change finally. Create better habits for yourself around this thing you've been avoiding for quite some time. And finally, you got to enjoy some new opportunity from it. So you take this guy, put him right in the center of your bed as a symbol of that victory. Whatever I shared today that rang up here, think about it deeply. Use a ton of sincerity about you and let happiness be your guide because you want to create the best version of you possible. And teach it to somebody. If you become the coach, it's the best way to implement, okay? And to all of you, I wish you an abundance of happiness, success. Remember, the choice begins with you. And ending exactly like mom and dad taught me from the bottom of my heart with great gratitude. Thanks for listening. I'm Don Wilson. Thanks.